Um, all right. I think we are live. Yes.
Looks like it.
Looks like it. Okay. We are joined today. We're joined this hour by Ben Trigg, who's an incredible poet, joining us from what appears to be inside of a marble. And we could not be more happy. Ben, can you please share a poem with us?
Sure, I will. This is called Lunch with Cleopatra. She looks over the cocktail list, her delicate fingers caressing the menu. She reads off drink names: Lights of Havana, Hawaiian Volcano, Celestial Rebound, smiles at the exotic beauty of her choices, but decides on a gin and tonic. I order the same, then ask, "Where did you get those shoes?" She tells me about her latest shopping spree, the killer deals on Italian leather. We fill the air with laughter, our delight relentless. Our drinks arrive and orders are taken, but Cleopatra declines. Her drink all the meal she desires. She stares at the table as the waiter walks away. I'm not so sure about Mark anymore, she whispers. He's getting distant and work's not going well for him. She tells me about her dreams: snakes everywhere and empires crumbling. It's going to end badly, she says, before going quiet. I take her hand and let the silence cocoon us. This is goodbye, I realize, but we won't say it. In a moment, we'll finish our drinks, hold our heads high, and find another reason to laugh.
Yeah, that was really powerful.
Thank you.
Um, I don't know about you, but I always have this experience with poets that I really admire, but read with infrequently. And when I hear a certain line, like they start, "Oh, pretty good," and then all of a sudden they say something, I realize which poem it is. I'm like, oh yeah. Did you have that experience as well?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So you've been a co-host running a venue for somewhat like how many years now?
August will be 20 years.
20 years, 20 years. So that's 20 years of hosting. How long have you been writing poetry?
Um, uh, I mean, if we count high school, what's numbers, math? Like 25 or
20,
so, probably.
25 years. And how long have you been active, just going from scene to scene, like going around?
Within going to poetry readings and events, probably it would have been like 97, 98, something like that, I think is when I started.
So that is a long that is quite a while. So what's the secret to your longevity?
Um, People, friends, just the community. The secret to the longevity of the reading is having a co-host. Uh, and but and that's kind of the same thing. Just being part of the community is having people there that I appreciate and appreciate me and make good relationships and make me want to you know be there to actually show up.
Yeah. So you're talking about like over 20 years of being involved in the world of poetry. I know I meet a lot of poets. I don't say young poets because that age is relative, but people who've been involved in poetry for a shorter period of time, and they always come up with this idea, this fear. They project in the future that they're going to run out of things to say. Uh, what would you what soothing words would you offer to assuage those fears?
um I you just you won't. I mean, personally, I'm in a bit of a dry spell, so I'm not necessarily the best person for that. But I mean, but I've been watching other people for that entire time who are still writing a lot. I mean, I think a lot of people slowed down a little. Like when you first start, it's this big, super exciting. You're just doing as much as you can thing. But I also think that slowing down to a degree is accompanied by more care, more craft, more skill.
Yeah.
uh Maybe you aren't doing as much just new writing, but you're spending your time editing. um you know as you learn what works and doesn't work, part of the writing process becomes throw out a line and realize, oh no, that's not going to be good.
Mhm. Well, so I've been doing this for that period of time. I mean, you actually probably are the best qualified to, or you are really well qualified to speak to this because, people get an anxiety around writing that wave, right? That wave of like like massive amounts of production, then all of a sudden nothing for a period of time.
Mhm.
But to know and trust in the fact that you're gonna write again. Can you tell us like how you get through that? Like, how do you not freak out about having dry spells?
um because I'm still connected. Like I feel like for me, a lot of my energy goes into supporting other people, which is fine. That suits me. So that I don't necessarily have as much poetic energy to put into my own stuff. Um, and some of that is also just how much do I want to be digging into myself. I think there's a lot of me going like, I just don't want to really think about my thoughts. I'm gonna just support other people right now.
Right,
Um,
right.
but one thing I think is important for people who are maybe starting out or feeling have been doing it a while and things might feel like they're changing is what I have observed is people shift over the years. Like very few people are doing the exact same thing 10 years later that they were when they first started. And I don't think that I think that's something to embrace, to to understand that who you are as a writer will grow and move and might go in ways you really don't expect. Um, and that's great. You're learning yourself, and also if you're writing the exact same poem 10 years later, then why are you writing 10 years later? Uh, hopefully there's always something new to say.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I mean, definitely, people should embrace the kind of like I don't know how to. I don't really. I've done that poem that way enough. Let me try to do this poem this way for a little bit. I mean, like, or it's kind of.
Mhm.
I think people should really embrace that, and I really agree with you. So a big part of the series, what I wanted to do was get down these kind of like histories of that's a complete lie. I just started doing this, and then like a pattern that emerged was that people started talking about venues and this, and then it occurred to me I really should get down the history of venues and scenes and groups of people we're all here, like to just get a document of it, like now that people have the time and they're kind of I have both a captive audience and a captive interviewee set, right? Uh, so I want to ask you about Two Idiots Peddling Poetry, and also its legendary venue and the legendary owner of that venue. But let us start. Tell us about the poetry open mic that you co-host. About poetry reading that you co-host with.
Either way is fine. You can call it an open mic.
Okay.
So first thing, very very important is, as was mentioned, I run it with Steve Ramirez. We both It's both of ours. It would not have become what it has or continue without both of our input and love and work. And very, very happily, we basically have the same vision uh, for what it should be, and that's guided us for almost 20 years, and it's working well. Um, do you want like what it is currently, like how it works? The
No, how did it start? How did it started? Where did it begin?
so how it started way back when, it was a poetry reading run by a guy named Eric von Meisner that Steve and I both attended. And Eric ended up passing the torch on to a friend of mine, Heather Glass. She took it over, and fairly quickly I ended up helping her. Um, and so the two of us kind of were running it for quite a while. It was in various places in Fullerton at the time. And then at some point we talked Steve into joining us. So it was the three of us doing it. And then we were in a Diedrich's Coffee, Diedrich's, right? Yeah, in Brea. Um, and the assistant manager did not like us. And then one week he was the manager, and that was our last week there. So, um, so we sort of scrambled to find a place, and we knew about Phil and the Ugly Mug. He'd had a reading there previously. So we knew he was supportive of the idea. So I think it was Steve went to him and worked it out. So we went there. We were pretty small initially. There's the venue is, there's like two rooms that can be walled off, and for at least like the first year it was walled off. We were just probably less than half the space we currently use. And then just occasionally he'd have to take the walls down because more people would show up, and then eventually it just became standard that we were filling up more of that space. And then about a year after we moved to the Ugly Mug, Heather moved to San Diego, so it just became Steve and me running it. So we rebranded with the Two Idiots Peddling Poetry. I stole it from a furniture store. There was a furniture store near me, Two Idiots Selling Furniture. So just stole it.
So when you got started, did you try to like copy any? Because I know like it's a natural smooth thing now, but like sometimes when you get these big ideas, you end up overdoing it. Like, did you try to do like some like comedy duo, like you're killing me, Larry, or anything like that, or was it pretty?
The only shtick we had kind of like that is with the idiots in the title. Anytime something went wrong early on, we're just like, what do you expect? We're idiots. But not like, it wasn't over the top, I don't think it was. And it wasn't intentional. It's just things went wrong. So it was a convenient excuse. So yeah, that and it fit us. It's one of my favorite things ever was someone introducing me, and at the time my bio was this thing about like Ben Trigg is a self-described idiot, and she wouldn't read it. Like, she felt bad. Which was so sweet.
Yeah, it's my shtick. It's my it's what.
Yeah.
You so can you tell us a little bit about the what's a good word here? I'm going to use a word. When you have to like consider your adjectives carefully, that should tell the audience something. Can you speak a little bit to the idiosyncratic nature of the owner of the Ugly Mug?
He is very he's a bit of a curmudgeon. Although he softened a lot over the years. I mean, you maybe can't tell, but
it makes me question what he was like then. But go on.
He definitely has a grouchy vibe. If you look the venue up on Yelp, you'll find 2 reviews. The owner's an asshole, don't go there, and the owner's an asshole, it's charming. Those are the 2 kinds of reviews you get.
Well, he's the consistent, you're the variable.
Huh?
He's the constant, you're the variable. As a customer, the customer is the variable. Phil is the constant.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It is sort of a degree of, if you can roll with the gruff exterior, he it becomes playful in a way. But if it's not something that is comfortable, then it's hard to find for a customer. Then it's probably hard to find a to settle. I don't know. It's taken me a while to be comfortable with it. It's a good thing that Steve.
But so his unique personality has become a
He's
part.
great. I have to say, I want to say, really quick, he's really great, and he's so supportive. He
Uh,
is, you know, I mean, we've been there almost 20 years. He is
exactly. Yeah.
so really, really very supportive of us. And I mean, last year I think it was, he just decided to have this big gigantic banner printed that he just has up outside of the venue all the time.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't want anyone to be scared off.
Right. Right.
He's respectful. He's, you know, it's a little bit, if you're familiar with that, I think the restaurant's Texas Lucy's, something like that, where like part of their thing is the waitresses are rude to you, and if
Yeah.
you go in wearing a tie, they cut the tie off.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, that's the shtick.
Yeah. So they do that at like Coyote Ugly. I think that they're rude. There's a place in Chicago that sells hot dogs. They're like really known for being
Yeah.
rude. And but what I want to say, and Phil's not that. I'm just being playful because it's kind
Yeah,
of fun.
I just want to make sure, because you know him. I just want to make sure for anyone who's never been there, I don't want them to feel like they should actually stay away.
Yeah. No, but you actually made Phil's unique personality kind of a part of the charm of two ugly, two ugly idiots. The other two
How
idiots.
dare you? How dare you?
I know. I'm I'm mixing up my self-deprecation here or your deprecation. I'm mixing Phil's deprecation and your deprecation, and I'm cross-deprecating here. So the it's become part of the charm of your open reading.
Mhm.
And can you speak a little bit to how you just how, the longevity of having a venue for 20 years? Like, speak to that a little bit, could you?
Um. Okay. So I'm. What movie was it? There was a movie way back when where like one of the first things is this old couple at a wedding being in. They're like doing like just camera things, and you know, and they ask like, "What's the secret to a long marriage?" And and they say that they never fell out of love at the same time. And I feel like that has been very true for keeping the reading going, is that both Steve and I have had times where we would be ready to be done because it's a long time and it's every week with a few weeks off a year, but we've never both felt like we're done at the same time. So when I when I've just not been into it, he picks up the slack and vice versa. Um, so there's that piece I think is very important to um, keeping it going. The other piece is um, the community. What keeps us going in a lot of ways is the people that come, the um, new people who've been there a long time. Um, and for us, a lot of it is we always see growth in people. Um, there's just the sound, in a way, this sounds harsh, but people coming to our reading grow to some degree. Not, you know, not everyone becomes a rock star, but everyone grows within what they have, or they stop coming. And it's not like we chase them away or anything. Um, we just have a vibe of expecting people to put more than the minimum into it, but we're also very supportive. It's not like it's a vibe of just do it, whatever. It's also when we see people doing good stuff, we make sure we go up to them and we and we tell them we like what's happening, and that when people read for the first time, we encourage them to come back. When people have come back for a while, we'll be like, hey, we're glad you're still coming. And we the goal is very much to be as welcoming as possible. We want to be the safest space possible. We want anyone, regardless of their confidence in getting up in front of people, to feel safe getting up in front of our crowd. And when they're done, our hope is that they feel good about what they just did, and all of that is within certain expectations of respect, and everyone's welcome except people who are going to throw sexism and racism and homophobia and all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
But outside of, we want we want to start by being a very safe space for the more vulnerable among us, and then from there, it should be safe for everybody.
Yeah. So it goes from the most marginalized in society, and then the just general insecurity that we all feel
Mm-hmm.
going through life. Yeah. So that's a wonderful thing. I've seen firsthand how many people have sung the praises of how this was like a home venue to them, how they grew out of it, and the deep love and affection for the reading from many of the what's the word regulars. I mean, I'm struggling right now, but but you, in addition to doing all that, you've had some pretty renowned poets pass through over the years
Mm-hmm.
as featured readers at the open mic. Can you speak to some of those and some of the highlights, and perhaps a funny story that won't actually affect you later, by telling it?
I don't know if I have funny stories, but I can say,
Interesting stories.
for me at this point, the highlight has been having Sam Sachs read for us. He's pretty much my favorite poet at the moment. I adore him, and that we were able to have him there was just mind blowing. And I had to spend the entire night just not trying to be a complete dork about how excited I was he was there. Let's see. For me, the other really exciting person we had was Alan Bass, who has, I would say, has probably been one of my top female poets for a long time. I used to, totally not related because she hasn't read our reading yet, but someday if she ever tours again, she hopefully will. I said I one day had to accept that Patricia Smith was basically my actual favorite poet, because I realized she's literally the only one who causes me to not be able to breathe while she's reading. Like, if you ever have the fortune to see her live, like, I've literally stopped respiration because of her words. Let's see. As far as, I was gonna say, the one of the most heartening, exciting, whatever, names for us is Rachel McKibbins, and she pretty much started out at our reading before anyone knew who she was.
Wow.
And that is just, it's very gratifying that we were able to make a space that she grew in, and her work is very difficult. So I know that it required a particularly safe space to be able to navigate that early on. And then of course, she's just, everything she does is her. She's amazing, and I'm just grateful to have her as a friend, really.
Well, this video is going to get later shared. There's a wide cross section of people. not everyone is can see it's going to be involved in poetry. It's kind of seen as this interesting project where we're taking all these oral histories from all kinds of walks of life. So for those who are not familiar with Rachel McKibbins and just how how many ships she sent to sea and how successful she became as a poet, can you talk a little bit about Rachel?
Um, sure. So she's I, so many things to say. I mean, she did slam for a while. She's ultimately settled currently in Rochester, New York. She runs, I think it's called Pink Door. Is that right? Writing retreat, where she's focusing on um, mostly, I believe, women of color poets. But she's been, besides her just fabulous writing, she's just very much an advocate for everyone who needs an advocate. She's, I don't know. I honestly, I can't. I'm just tripping over myself. I don't. All I can say is she's amazing, and go find her.
Yeah.
She also does some of the best poetry prompts in the world.
There you go. See that now you learned something. Not you, the audience. Now you learned something. And for those, you can Google her. I mean, but Rachel has definitely had a significant imprint on poetry, in this country throughout and in the world throughout the last 15, 20 years. Sam, tell us a little about Sam and why he's your the poet du jour for you.
So I like his language. His use of language is amazing, but also he is unflinching in how unflinching is such a cliche word, but whatever, we're going to use it, and how he approaches his identity as a gay man. Like they're I feel like a lot, I'm trying to say, basically he doesn't make all of his poetry sexual or that, but he's not afraid to do it either. And to me that's very important, that a lot of times gay identities can be neutered. Like, to make it safe for straight people, we have to not talk about the sex part, but a lot of gay men think about sex a lot, so it's kind of authentic to have that in there. And he's not the only poet I can think of like that, but he's one of them, and he's so good. And so I have kind of my current favorite group of poets are people who came out of slam but then have moved into a kind of hybrid performance page poet.
Yeah, they write well and they perform well. Yeah,
they're amazing on stage, but they can put their poems into a book and it's perfect on page too. That there are some poets who are really great on the page, but if they try to perform it, it's horrible, and you just want them to stop. There are some poets that are amazing on stage, but it doesn't quite work. They're much more performance than anything that lands paper, and I really, really, really like the in between. I have both. One of the things I think has informed our reading, for example, Steve and I both have theater backgrounds. We both went to school studying theater, and so there's I like poems that can be performed. I like things that sound like they're interesting out loud. So that's part of where Sam really hits it for me, is he's a really good performer, but also the words he uses are just great, and I have no examples on me, but he's amazing.
Again, you can Google it, look him up on YouTube. Sam is, and he's a good guy too. I've known Sam for many years. He's a very good person, very supportive of other artists, and very nice. He's cool. So you also, in addition to having all these people pass through, you put together a number of anthologies out of the. I can't get this phrase "unflinching mug" out of my head now. I want to I want to try and make a joke of it. I can't find my route to a punchline, but I can't also not say the unflinching mug. Anyhow, all right. But you put together some a series of some anthologies that have come out of the Ugly Mug. Can you speak to those?
So far we just have the one. We did a 10-year anthology. It's called "Don't Blame the Ugly Mug: 10 Years of Two Idiots Peddling Poetry," and it's 200 pages or something. It's ridiculous, and it has almost everyone we could get that had read for us in the first 10 years. We are hopefully going to do a second, like a 20-year of the second 10 years. I feel like the state of the world has sort of slowed things down. so I think I think the original goal was to maybe try to have it come out for the 20th anniversary. But I found myself thinking maybe what we should do is wait until the 20th, and then that's the group of people we have to pull from. So we include the 20th year. But so hopefully we'll have a second one. But it was a very exciting thing to put together, and there are amazing poets in there. And to be able to have edited that and to have people trust us with their work.
Yeah. Well, most venues do not last 20 years. That doesn't typically happen. But venues do last. Some come and go. But like once you hit that 4 or 5 year mark, I really think it is something worth preserving. And I'm very glad that you two idiots are very interested in preserving a history of your idiocy.
On that, anyone who's thinking about starting a reading,
Yeah.
save your sign-up sheets.
Yeah.
I desperately wish I had saved my sign-up sheets from the beginning so I could remember who was coming when and whatever. Do that if you start now.
Well, I think that kind of leads into the next question. What is some of your advice for people who are starting open mics, people who have been running for a little bit, and they think they're going to be in it for the long run, however long that run is, about preserving that history? Because it's really sad to me that these venues come and go, and they exist in the oral history of a few people, but then some guy moves to Milwaukee and that's it. Nobody knows about it anymore. So how what's advice and encouragement I really would hope from you right now?
I mean, I think honestly, if you build the community so that you have regular people showing up, readers and audience is amazing. Never discount the importance of people who just come to listen. If you build that so you have that community, it's easier to stay because you're seeing the positive you're bringing. You're seeing why you're doing it. You're seeing the benefit this thing you're doing is providing, but also the people that are in your community are providing the support that will make it easier for you. And if you're running a reading, it's a lot of energy. You don't get to just decide I don't feel like going this week or this month or whatever the frequency is. You don't, if you just go to readings, you can be like, I don't feel like it this week, and that's fine. But when you run it, you have to be there. So the support from your community is really important. If they make you feel loved and valued, that's what's going to keep you doing it. And that's, basically the pretty much the best friends I have are all in coming from the poetry community, and they're what's kept me going this whole time, is how amazing they are. And again, also have an amazing co-host, have a really really good, smart co-host and friend, so that it's never all on just one of you, and you can divide up the work into what you're good at. At this point, I am somehow shockingly much more comfortable on the stage than Steve is. But he's really, really good at doing the behind the scenes things. There was a while back where years ago now, where he was sick, and I kind of had to try to do the booking for like a month, and it was really bad. I was not good at it. He is great at the booking, and it's just, so like, find more than one person to do it with, and find what you're each good at, and
Yeah.
allow each other to keep y'all going.
Yeah, I find in working in partnerships, it's always better to find somebody that kind of complements you and really thrives in doing the things you really don't want to do.
Yeah.
That tends to be the best partnerships. Not finding someone just like you, because then you end up like competing or something like that. It's weird.
Yep.
So we have a couple questions and mostly compliments in our comment section here. Hey Ben, do you know how much I missed you? How do you want to answer that?
Yes, I do. That so that's Hanalina Fennel. She's sort of the unof. She doesn't have an official title, but she's kind of the welcoming committee of the reading. She's the I am an extrovert, but I'm terrified of new people.
Mm.
She is among the most extroverted, talk to anybody people I've ever met. So when people show up, she's real like new people. She's really good at making them feel like they should be there.
Mm.
When I'm not ready to actually engage beyond a few sentences, which is a really important also thing. If you are running a thing and you're not as much of a quiet people person, see if you can find someone who is. It's relieved so much of the pressure and fear. Having her in that. But yeah, so that is definitely in response to the fact that we can't leave our homes.
So I also want to I you mentioned something earlier that I meant to comment in the moment, but I kind of let it slip by. You mentioned the importance of the audience. Now you have a tradition there at the Ugly Mug. Can you share with the audience what that is regarding the
Two traditions. The first one is that the poets give a round of applause to the audience, because without the audience, we're a salon or a poetry circle jerk or whatever. And that's fine too, but I think it's amazing that we have people who go out every week just to listen to poetry. And I'm so grateful for those people, and I think it's important that the poets who've read appreciate the people who just listen to them, and they do. It's not like, it's not like a command from me. It's an opportunity that they happily take, to thank the audience. And then we have another one that is everybody giving a round of applause to Phil and the Ugly Mug, because if we did not have a place to be, we wouldn't have been there for 20 years. So
No, I think that's really great. I think more people should embrace that kind of attitude. I think oftentimes people think that the world just happens, but and they don't think about, like, for instance, if you like do like a reading at a college, you don't think about like the custodial, you don't think about like the text, you don't think about the people setting up chairs, you don't think about that, you just think about like, hey, here's me, I,
mm-hmm.
I made this happen, right? Like, well, you don't even know how to adjust a microphone, like how you I'm not you or anything, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
the theoretical,
I know what you mean.
this theoretical arrogant person that I that bears no resemblance to you or myself. Um, um, so yeah, so it's really important to acknowledge all the people involved in making a thing possible, even those who don't get on stage. I think that's a wonderful tradition.
Thank you.
Yeah. So um, this has been really great talking. I hate to cut this short because I could really feel like I talked to you for hours. We're not cutting off now, but like I have to kind of transition out because I got to another interview coming up. But I wanna ask you again to tell us a little bit about this anthology. Why, who was in it, how'd you put it together, and then where we can find it.
Okay, so basically, we just went through our list of who had featured for us um, in the first 10 years. There's a few people who had not featured for us yet, who were just regulars, but it was kind of like, but we saw who they were going to be. Like we saw that they would they belonged, so we got them into. So mostly it was a little bit of a public call of, hey, if you've been connected to the reading, please submit. But a lot of targeted, just emailing people saying, hey, here's this thing, send us poems. Occasionally harassing people. No, really, send us poems. Let's see who's in there. As we've already mentioned her, but Rachel McKibbins has a poem in there. Cecilia Wallach, who is just an amazing poet and teacher, is in there. Among like local Orange County-ish or LA-ish people, G. Murray Thomas is in there. Victor Infante, who has not been Orange County for a very long time, but love him anyway. Robert Wynn. I feel like there's a lot of it's a lot of people. I'm blanking. I'm so sorry. But you can, it's not really available anywhere other than me. So what I would recommend is actually, if you want to find the Facebook page, Two Idiots Peddling Poetry, you could send a message and say, I'm interested in an anthology. It's $25. I think we did the math once and it was like 15 cents a poem or something. Because how much is in there.
Yeah. And we'll drop the link below. I'll drop a link in the thread.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So I also wanted to mention that right now, with the everything being closed, we are continuing to do the reading. We're doing a virtual open mic every Wednesday, 8:00. Information is at the Two Idiots Peddling Poetry Facebook page.
How has migrating everything to Zoom and to various other platforms, how has that affected your performance style? Because I've been doing like this, like the Blair Steele project, where I'm just like like independent filmmaker, because I'm trying to like keep things interesting and fresh. It's very weird staring at my own face doing poems. How have you coped with this?
I don't know. Well, so I haven't really done much reading with it, just the hosting part. I'm very focused on the technical stuff while I'm doing it, because there's a lot of like muting people, unmuting people. So in a way, I'm less. I'm not like I'm not present at all, but I'm even more distracted by the business of running the reading than I am in person.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy that it's a thing that can be done.
Right. So the views that are being now about next to be expressed, the views about to be expressed now are neither those of the Ugly Mug nor of Two Idiots Putting Poetry. This is pure Sadio right now. I do not understand why we need to keep muting things on Zoom. Why people can't just shut the hell up? They would shut the hell up if they were the venue. If you were at the venue, you wouldn't be like, like be quiet, like snap and laugh. That's just me. I talked to somebody from the lounge and I expressed this exact same opinion. He's like, no, man, like people are like living their lives. No.
Anyway, I think it's more that you can't.
That's me.
There's unpredictable things
Yeah.
There's, I mean, because it's not, when someone's in their home, I mean, there could just be loud noise coming from some other room,
That's
or it's that kind of thing. It's not,
right.
I,
House
I
noises.
don't
Yeah.
people because I expect them to be inconsiderate.
Yeah.
I just expect that you never know what weird sounds could happen,
You
and
know
it's
what your house
just
is gonna make. Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. There's a part of me that's just like,
as someone just said, my kids aren't at the venue.
that's true. No, okay. I'm being just. I mean, I know I got.
I understand. No, I totally I understand
I
what
have family I live with too. I mean, I'm being iron
I
fisted.
get where it comes from, but
Yeah.
I but it's because yes, there's a degree of yes, I still expect people to be as respectful as they would be in
Yeah.
person, but
Yeah.
it's just
I don't know how I would. Yeah.
there's uncontrollable variables.
Yeah, I don't know how it sounds people I live with either. So that's a good point. I don't know. I don't know. There's a very iron fisted aspect of my personality that it cannot be exercised in this moment. I guess I'm just expressing frustration. Um, but again, these views and frustrations are mine and mine alone. Um, well, I thank you, Ben. I really do. I really do. I really appreciate you. Um, can you can you share some parting thoughts, some parting wisdom about how we can all make it through this moment and how poetry um, can help us through?
Um,
I'll put you on the spot.
um, I for me at least, it actually is keeping me feel connected to people. I mean, just the the reading, the virtual readings in particular. It's just like it's a way um, to get outside of myself. And I think hearing other people, hearing poetry is always important. It's always a way to help us um, kind of explore what we're feeling, how we react to things, if we're writing it, what's going into the writing, if we're just listening, how things make us feel. um and it's, for me at least, it's been very easy to withdraw being stuck at home.
Yeah.
um, and poetry helps keep me connected
Yeah.
to the world.
Okay. Final question. Why are you in a block of ice? What's
Huh?
like the background, your background.
Now
That's
you've decided it's ice.
you look like you look like your General Zod, and you've been exile. That's amazing. That's amazing wallpaper you have there.
Thank you.
That's a compliment.
It was a high school senior's choice, and I live with it still.
Well, we've been joined this hour by Ben Trigg, a co-host of the legendary Two Idiots Peddling Poetry, hosted at the equally legendary Ugly Mug. I thank you so much for your time, and I'm really glad we got to preserve this history, or at least talk about this history in this venue, in this little thing I'm doing,
Thank
and
you.
part of the collection. So I really appreciate it. All right, see everyone in a minute.